see if I can finish this out. Even though he's got a ton left, I picked up where I left off, 603, and maybe I'll try and talk a little slower. But like, it's just how do I put this? I'm given the collapse of Western society because of the inability of these fucking pimps to wake up and confront reality, and the inability of their captive chattel females to do their job for society, which is not contrary to their belief, laying on their back and getting paid a ton of money. It's to create children. Um, we'll see how that works out, huh? So here we go. 603.
Sam, let's stick to the truth instead of playing games. We're
Marquette, you wouldn't know the truth if the truth came and slapped you upside the head with a 12-inch dick.
in
I'm
a
not
dis-
playing games. I'm trying to
we're in a
clarify your
discussion
position.
about minimum wage.
Yeah.
You said most people are on the floor. The floor is as low.
Once again, I want to stress, like, why are we all talking about wage? Right? The amount of money a man makes as a minimum wage and a male makes as a minimum wage has no bearing on the inflated value of women who are being artificially economically propped up just to segregate them into harems so people like Marquette Devon can rent access to them to capitalize on their imprisonment or their separation from male mates to enrich himself. All right, like, let's face it, the minimum wage has no bearing on that situation. Because even if they were to raise the minimum wage, McCart would just raise the wage of his captive chattel by the same amount, right? By the same amount. Because he has the desperation of all the males he has separated these women from to prop up those expenses. And all he has to do is just keep them wealthier than you, right? And the fact that these motherfuckers can now print digital Invisibucks on command to do just this makes the wage conversation ultimately irrelevant, right? It doesn't matter how much this dude makes. If they made it $50 tomorrow, like, even if he was making $50 an hour tomorrow, and every minimum wage dude in the country was making $50 an hour tomorrow for working 80 hours a week, that's not going to compare to Marquette Devon making millions doing nothing but fucking the women that should have been your future wife, or your like okay, the wage conversation is last century. We're in the wartime, how do we geld these pimps conversation time now.
Low as you can go, which
I
means
mean, I say relative to the people who are making the most money in this
most
country.
Americans are not making minimum wage. So
Okay.
why are we pretending as though the most developed
Most Americans are making well under six figures. The difference between minimum wage and under six figures in terms of creating a family and when it comes to modern mating dynamics is zero. If you are not making $100,000, you are making annually, you are making minimum wage. In terms of if you're trying to create a family, right? If you are not making at least 100 G's annually, right? The only people you're going to have left to create a family with are a bunch of women who have been literally pimped out by the industrial state till they're almost infertile, may or may not have just a chopped up fucking womb from all the abortions they had before they met you, may or may not have someone else's bastard children, and regardless will expect you to supply for them the same way that their pimp supplied for them while having none of the positives of being with them, right? No youth, no fertility, no nothing, no nada, right? And so like this like if you're making under 100K, you're a brokey, right? And the real situation at this point, if you're making under 500K, you're probably a brokey. Because no matter how much anybody makes, the people who control the keys to the industrial harems through the artificial inflation of currency just to segregate women from men, right? Those people are going to continue to raise that artificial wage of the average female within her fertility window to keep them separated from you, to keep you building Tesla cars and serving them like the bitch slaves you are. I'm just saying, stop being a slave, guys. Right? That's my vote. Stop.
developed country on the planet Earth, the most developed country in world history? Why are we
Okay, people always act like development is just outright good. Okay, if we're developing this country into being a concrete block with everyone locked in fucking boxes, I don't consider that a positive thing. All right, like We're developing our own extinction. Okay, let's roll back on that. Let's not develop our own extinction. Let's take all the bitches out of the boxes. Let's let's ignore this wage slavery. Let's start cutting cattle fences and burning down police station, like, well, not burning down, right? Because we don't want the fire to get out of control. Assassinating uniformed officers who are the thug Gestapo enforcers of this nation of totalitarian sexual and physical slavery on behalf of a few lying pimps. There you go. Let's handle it like that. Don't need to burn anything down. Just find them in their homes and put holes in their heads.
Pretending as though there's a real poverty issue here when the only real issues.
Yes, there is a real poverty issue, right? And you're ignoring it because he doesn't experience it, right? Because he has 1,000 hoes waiting on him hand and feet as the millionaire men's entrepreneur of the earth, many of which are there because he, once he had sexual access to them, he just segregated them from fucking society, using your money to do it, right? This nation is in poverty. Right? The presence of money has no bearing on the presence of economy. The economy is collapsing because no children are being born, right? I'm 40. I should have children by now. I am surrounded by other people who should have children by now. There are no children because the society has created a situation where to like where society has made an enemy of the very people that you need to have children with. Right? It has reduced the females of the Western world to sexual chattel for the benefit of lying pimps. And then they expect us out of desperation just to take the scraps that are fed to us like the good little bitches we are. Right? And my advice to you is stop being that person. Right? To any man out there. All right? Start taking the real reality that we live in, which is a reality of economic, ecological, and population collapse that has been put in place by the systems that men like Marquette and Andrew Tate subscribe to, right? A bunch of lying pimps practicing prima nocta have driven us to the brink of human extinction and total industrial destruction. And I am just saying, I am of the vote that the very least we could do as we sink into this morass of chaos and starvation is ensure that the men responsible, men like Marquette Davidson, men like these fake ass pastors, right, do not live through the chaos that they have created. It is our moral and ethical responsibility to ensure that this man does not live if we actually have concern for our fellow humans and the natural sphere in reality.
Our mental health and the ability to help people deal with mental health issues. That's
99% of the mental health issues in America right now are stemming from our evolutionary response to the mass artificial segregation of the sexes in general population, which our body reads through hormonal release, right? All this ADD and hyperpromiscuity and depression and rising aggression in the population, all of these mental health problems stem from the segregation from the sexes in general population. Literally all of them. Literally all of them. And so they're not helping anybody in mental health. What they're doing is they're using drugs to hide the symptoms of the disease that they have created with their toxic, backward ideologies that should have been left in the 14th century where they belong. And when they were left in the 14th century, the human race was on a ascending curve, reaching towards the stars. But the second this parasitical, regressive ideology of pimps and hoes or princes and harems reared once again its ugly head, once again, as a result, civilization has begun to fucking collapse, right? Because inherent in these systems of polyamory, polygamy, pimping, right, is the destruction of countless families, is the murder of the murder of countless unborn children. How many women has Marquette David, that whoever this fuck is, how many women has he pushed into abortion just to get that kid chopped out so he'd keep renting this chick's ass? How many? We'll never know. We'll never know the real answer to that question. But it's going to be more than zero. right? If douchebags who practice his philosophies in my tiny ass town are responsible for 2 or 3 by themselves, he's got to be responsible for at least a couple hundred murders of unborn children, a couple hundred family destructions, right? How many women in his harems did he pick up out of another relationship, right? And now because of that, there are no children to work these businesses. The middle class, people like me who are military vets, who have all this knowledge to offer, who could uplift society into new and economic games, we have nobody to work with, right? We're either expected to slave away ourselves and continue to benefit people like Marquette, like it's just fucked, bro. It's fucked, and it's people like him who have fucked it, right? And that's just reality. And I feel sorry for this dude because he is so far behind on the conversation. He doesn't right now realize that he's just being played, right? He's just being played. Every second that you spend having a conversation about economy and not family, that you have a conversation about wages and not progeny, that you have a conversation about wealth and not access to family through sexual intimacy, is a second that they are winning through a facade of delusion and lies. So start having real conversations.
That's the real issue. There is no issue with the minimum wage. There's issue with people not getting skills to get jobs that pay good wages.
How is it that someone who is a professional pimp, whose sole job is telling an AI to code for him an ad program, is lecturing somebody else on having skills, right? This man has no skills, right? This man's skill is to covertly sexually coerce women to work for him. That's his skill. Is that a skill or is that a crime?
The issue is miseducation and a lack of guidance from the
The issue is a bunch of boy pimps that need to be shot.
culture that tells people go to college, which is a meaningless phrase that leads.
I mean, he's definitely right there, right? I mean, that being said, this is how the college system works, right? The wealthy males from the wealthy multi-generational wealth families go to college and just have a whole hog wild time banging these bitches, and they establish small harems, right? And then they take these women out of the dating pool to work at their corporation, yacht, whatever. Like the average, and that's just how it works. That's just how it works, guys. And if you're a poor underclass, your job is to help support these women while they fuck other dudes, and then be there and wait for them while they are used for their whole lives and work the jobs that no one really wants to do, i.e. the actual jobs that run society, so that you'll be there ready to pump out the next child so that when he's 60, he's got 16-year-olds to fuck. Fuck these people.
Leads you to studying African American studies, English, or sociology, which pays. Okay, what you really need to.
Well, it depends. If you're a chick, it's going to pay you a lot, right? Because they're always going to pay the women more for 2 reasons. One, men are we instinctively give women shit, which all dudes need to get in control of. But 2, the state itself is artificially inflating female wealth and economy by stealing from males to make it to create the psychological effect of a lack of desirability in the male underclass, to collapse the female population into the harems of the wealthy few. Okay? They are artificially creating these women's wealth, even though they're not doing things that how have you guys not noticed this yet? That's what I want to know. How have you not noticed this? When every yacht captain, just look at the super yacht culture, right? These dudes hire exclusively females, right? And then they just keep them in there in the host circle until they want to use them, and they kick them the curb and get a new one when they want. Because let's face it, when you have a computer program running your yacht and running your radars and doing all of the work that you would normally need someone to actually do, well, anyone can be a yacht captain, and it's really not that big a fucking skill, is it?
Figure out is what the truth is. The truth is we're in a capitalist society where you are rewarded based on your merit, and if your skill level.
People are not rewarded based on their merit. We're in a capitalist society, and that society is founded in the enslavement of the male populace through the segregation from the female populace. And part of that segregation is created by artificially inflating the wealth of the average female to disincentivize them from having mates in the underclass. Okay? Because these greedy dumb fucks don't understand how basic biology works, and they don't understand that if the underclass doesn't have fucking children, the only thing that's going to be left is a few houses of incest and a collapsed industrial society. And that is what we are getting. Because this dude is retarded. Because retarded people are being given massive, massive platforms and influencing culture and creating more retarded people. Okay? And so like these conversations about wages are so old and last decade and last century and not at all remotely accurate to the real situation that we are facing as a human species.
Is as a Walmart greeter, you're going to get paid pennies, and that's what you deserve. You're lucky you don't get replaced by a.
This guy's going on a hit list. He's going on my list. Like at this point, he's just going on my list. I can't help it. I can't help it, guys. I can't help it. I cannot help how sickening this man makes me in my gut. Right? This is a lying pimp lecturing someone else on their value while he engages in actions that destroy literally hundreds of thousands of families, that destroy hundreds of thousands of unborn fucking children, that are going to cause literally decades of misery to the female channel which he now has under his purview. And as they age out, will eject them into the ghetto without a second thought in order to refill with some poor trafficked girl from some poor town and dangle her out to be pimped out for his personal wealth. This guy's going on my list at this point, having seen this conversation. And I highly recommend that if you are a male of any ethnicity, you put him on the same list, right? Because the reality situation, this whole ethnicity thing is a joke. You are either poory, a brokey, i.e., not a rapist pimp overseeing a chattel of economically segregated females, or you're a pimp or a prince, in which case you are doing that. Marquette the saint, what we ought to make him a saint. He can be a saint. I'll make him a martyr tomorrow.
A sign, because most of the low wage workers, whether they're at TSA, Walmart.
If I had the capability to do that, but I don't actually have the capability to do that right at this moment, but I probably can make him a martyr within the year if he stays in America. If he leaves America, it might take a couple years.
Walmart greeter or McDonald's, they can be replaced by an iPad, and they should be. They should be thankful for the job they do have, and they should pray for the day they get a whiff of this Marquettism so they can get some game and skills to become something better than.
The only game and skills that he represents is isolate, penetrate, and lie. Isolate a woman from witnesses, penetrate her vagina with your penis, lie to everybody about how you met, right? And lie to her about her value. And segregate her from fucking potential mates and keep her in that circle and then pretend you have a job and then go to other women you've done the same thing to do and borrow their money to convince this chick you have a fucking job and then now that you've paid for her, she doesn't mind paying for you because, you know, he's all 50-50 because he's feminist. I like to trust me, when he's with women, he's 50-50. He's telling all of you not to be like that because if you were all like that, it would fuck up his game. Right, so you guys, you don't understand how these two-faced prostitutes work in reality.
Than they are today.
How do you you know, I know you have a brand to uphold and an image to uphold.
I don't have a brand, my dear boy. This is not a product. I'm not promoting.
He's a liar. Like he will simultaneously tell you he does not have a brand to uphold while simultaneously literally having a brand to uphold. He's a lying pimp.
A product. I didn't come on YouTube to make money. Brand goes for products. I'm not a.
No, he's not a product. All of the women, deluded women in his harem, which he fucking dangles out and rents to high-profile players, are a product. That's the product. He's not a product. He's the worst of it. He won't even sell his own ass. Right? The very least you could do if you're going to be a pimp is at least suck a dick for money. That's why I like Sterling Cooper more than Marquette Davis. At least Sterling Cooper has sucked dick for money, so he knows a little bit of what he's forcing these women into. This guy has no clue. right? He's just telling these bitches suck dick for money for daddy. Why don't you go suck a dick, you lying fuck?
Product. I'm a human being. I'm a man.
Okay.
I stand on
Okay.
You're a human being. You are a lying pimp, and your diseased ideology is a cancer to the entire global world. So you can be a human and have a diseased ideology that is a cancer to the entire global world. Just look at Israel. He's probably Israeli too. It just hasn't come up yet.
Okay.
Now, let me help you further about that. Let me help you a little more since you want to talk about productivity and all this stuff going on in this fine country. Outside of this country, which I traveled widely, you want to talk about poverty right here in America.
Yeah, the reason everything he's about to talk, the reason that all these other countries are so horribly racked with poverty right now is because when the westernized world or the industrialized world committed to abortion, it was very quickly found out at the higher levels of intelligentsia that females were aborting daughters more than sons. So you got it. So in order to hide this disparity, women were imported from the third world to the first world or the westernized world to hide the disparity. But when you moved the women from these populations where homeostasis has been achieved, you then drove those populations into a population unbalance, right? Which created the poverty and everything we're seeing in America today. Okay? Polygamy, polyamory, the creation of harems. These are the keystone of the global poverty that we see today. That and abortion combined, basically. Right? Okay. He has been to slave nations, seen their slavery, and like, look at how hard workers they are. And then come back here, this perfumed eunuch pimp, and tell us we ought to be slaves just like those nations over there if he's going to feed us with his paper. His paper, which only has value because of the entire industry of the underclass that exists to prop him up as the perfumed whore he is. Who cares about how hard they work in other who like there are entire documentaries that show that indigenous communities who are separated from the industrial society work roughly 4 hours. Like the average indigenous community that is not adjacent to an industrial hellscape, right? They work. Everyone in the community works like a light 4 hours a day, and not on weekends. Food is readily available. Access to family is readily available, right? And all this labor coming from this desperation mindset of men trying to produce to get a mate that they can never ultimately obtain through their labor alone because their mate is being artificially segregated from them by being sequestered away in some tower in Dubai or a street corner in LA by some random pimp, whether he's dressed in a grills and a gold chain or a dress with a kaffa if you're looking at the Dubai print. Like, let's just be real about what is going on, guys. Let's just be real about it.
You're imagining poverty. That's relative poverty. What you're really describing is people who think they should have more than they deserve.
Yes, the right situation is yes, they should have more than they have. It's not about what they deserve. It's about inequality, right? Okay, and it's not even about what they think they should deserve. If the male underclass does not acquire mates, given our current state of segregation, we're going to see a massive population collapse, followed by a dark ages, during which most of the women who have been collapsed into food deserts, i.e., the females in Dubai, the females in the Middle East, a lot of the women in the city, will starve to death. All right? That's what it's about. It's about avoiding this outcome. And Marquettism is one of the primary things that is pushing us towards this outcome. And what he calls Marquettism is just basic ass pimping, but driven to a but expanded out to a nightmarish degree because of the advancement of technology, right? So it's space age pimping. It's not Marquettism. It's just space age pimping. It's put these bitches in boxes, pay them more than their peers, use them and rinse them out until they're past their fertility window, and then kick them out on the street, and all these guys will be so fucking desperate, someone's bound to take care of this bitch. Except that's not working anymore. And it's not working for a lot of reasons. I don't want to go into all the reasons it's not working as much as it used to, but like, it's not gonna work out that way this time, guys. Like, we are going to see a war. And the only thing that can avoid this war and this upheaval is for a mass awakening to happen. And the people who need to awaken more than anybody else are not actually men. It's actually the women who have been reduced to this sexual slavery and call it empowerment. That's who needs to wake up more than anybody else.
Observe. You got poor people or homeless people. I was in Venice Beach, met a bum who told me he was a vegan. You got dietary restrictions and you homeless, dog? That's crazy. We're in an era where people can afford to get tattoos and they can afford to have pets and they can afford to play video games and they got all the time in the world to Netflix and chill, but you want.
First of all, let's talk about this. The video games, all these things that he's talking about, all of these things are not things that are we want. These are things that are being created to distract us, to keep us from interfering with the industrial system. These are things that are being used to prevent the formation of families, to preserve the power of the pimp, right? So like let's stop calling our chains wealth, shall we? Let's stop calling the things that are being used to dope us up riches. All right. Let's stop calling the things that are used to mildly sedate the hormonal torture the average male lives in because of this artificial segregation. Let's stop calling that riches.
To get more money for your laziness?
I don't want your money, bro. I want you shot in the head. I want your harems disbanded, and I want some normalization of family and community to return to this earth, which will not exist as long as you have a platform and continue to push your toxic ideologies, you faggy douchebag.
That's outrageous. Let me tell you about real poverty, little buddy, since you haven't.
This man knows nothing about real poverty. He knows nothing about real poverty. If he knew anything about real poverty, he would not hold the positions he holds, right? He doesn't know what he's talking about. How long do we have to listen to these jumped up foreign Dubai princes pretending to be Americans, lying to everybody as they literally reduce the entire population of the Western world into chattel, which they rent out to dumb celebrity NIGGERs? And he's going to tell us what poverty is. I haven't seen ever a picture of him even looking slightly poor, bro. All I see is Marquette Davidson jumping on helicopters. Marquette Davidson going to high-rise Miami fucking exclusive clubs and remote retreats. And he's going to tell me what poverty is. Kill this guy. Shoot him. 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 Cut him. Burn him. Whatever.
Been around the real world. If you go to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and this breaks my heart, this is what you need to focus on, partner. When I would go on a 10-mile run in the middle.
Oh, you mean if you go to foreign places that are victims of the decade-long intersexual segregation by importing the women from those countries into the harems of the Western world, you see really poor people? And you want us to keep doing that? Are you a retarded person, Mr. Marquette?
Middle of the night in Addis Ababa, I would come to this one particular place, the people outside, most of them females, wearing hijab, which is to say these are fairly religious conservative women who are prostituting themselves literally for dollars, for less than you would pay for a goddamn Big Mac, because they're in real poverty. Poverty when you can't eat, poverty where you.
Right, exactly. They are in that real poverty. That real poverty has been created by the destruction of the natural ecosystem. That party has been created by the industrial society destroying the food, making them dependent on the money, which is the same thing they're trying to do us, but they're trying to make us, they make the women sexually dependent on the money, right, to eat. And now they want to make us labor dependent on the money to eat. But here's the problem. We're men. We can just destroy the whole system and drag you out of your house and shoot you in the fucking face, ultimately, if we feel like it. Ultimately. Right? Like you can't, it's just like, the poverty he's talking about exists. Has he witnessed it? Yes. Has he ever felt it? Unlikely. But the poverty he's talking about are a result of his systems of being and thought and his ideologies. The ideology of the lying pimp. All right? The 2026 guy, like 2025 is the year we all figured out. 2026 is the year we start shooting the people who haven't. All right? So everyone just pull your pants up, right? Pull your sleeves up, start training. There's a lot of people who have this, and when I say like the assassinations have already started, I'm not joking. Like beyond the Luigi situation, there's a California governor has gone missing. I think someone else, but like just pay attention, guys. The war has already begun, right? And I'm just here to kind of let the people know why the war is happening. The war is happening because you are putting people like this on pedestals instead of in boxes, right? That's why the war is going to happen. And I'm just here as the like witness. So when it all rolls out, maybe someone will find one of this YouTube channel, and be like, oh, that's what went down. So it can maybe be avoided in the future. All right. But yeah, yeah, just where we're at.
You can't pay for tattoos you don't need. Poverty where you can't pay for video games. Poverty where you don't even know what Netflix is because you don't have a TV.
I lived up without Netflix or any of those things. I didn't consider myself poor. I grew up in a forest surrounded by food. I could do whatever I want. I didn't have to work too much. It was quite nice. I had a little communal situation, right? And my whole community was destroyed by 5 lying pimps, basically, who moved into town and did these practices on the minute. I have seen firsthand the damage these philosophies wreak. Okay. Being swamped in e-garbage created by a desperate, starving population on the other side of the fucking world to dope you up to hide the nature of your slavery is not wealth, right? I cannot stress that enough.
At home. That's poverty, partner. What you're talking about is nonsense, and you have no integrity. And you and your mentality literally disgust me because you want handouts. In reality, if you cared as much as you,
I don't think he wants a handout as much as he wants a how do I put this? Men generally do not want handouts. If all men cared about were handouts, we would not have a functioning industrial society, right? What he wants is just access to the most basic of intersexual dynamics, flirtation and sexual intimacy, the most basic thing that should be readily available to literally everybody, that is currently being paywalled by shitheels like this. And he's going to hide behind a billion rope-a-dopes and red herrings to not bring this up, right? To not give this dude the words necessary to describe what's really going on. He's going to keep him in the slave mindset by just dropping babble and guilt trips while he's flying from palatial harem to palatial harem like the performed eunuch Uncle Tom that he is. This white man's tool, right? And that's just what it is, guys. So say what it is, right? Like say what it is in your day-to-day conversation. Start saying what it is. Stop having the same old conversations and just start saying what it is.
just say you care, you'd be focused on those who are truly in need, people in the third world. You are
I am focused on the people in the third world. I'm focused on everybody. I'm focused on the survival of the human race. And the reality situation, the poverty in the third world is being caused by the destruction of homeostasis, which is being caused by the exploitation of females via their sexual trafficking from the third world to the first world to hide the end result of abortion, which is to abort female fetuses at a rate higher than male fetuses, right? Like, so yeah, I'm obviously concerned about the third world too, right? They wouldn't be in the situation we were in if people like you didn't exist, right? If people like this didn't exist, the third world would not be in the situation it's in, right? If we weren't coming from multi-generational Middle Eastern princedoms of woman abusers, segregating the female populace into walled enclosures for their own use as a chattel asset, the third world would not have the issues it has. The issues that the third world has is being caused by that former behavior. And that's just reality, guys.
whiner, a bourgeois person in the first world who is whining for people who literally are failures because they choose to be losers. And I say that as one who,
yes, I'm sure the starving people in Somalia chose to be born in Somalia. I'm sure the ghetto street rats in LA chose to be that. I'm sure that I chose to go through all the familial trauma that I went through being born into the community I was born into. Right? It this is voodoo bullshit. Nobody chooses anything, right? And until they have reached like to you are only granted the capability of choice once you have reached a certain zenith of spiritual and conscious development. A zenith that Marquette Davidson is far from reaching and has never reached, and so is this dude for that matter, right? But like, it's just like, yeah, man, like stop blaming poor people for choosing to be poor. No one chooses to be poor, right? The real situation, this poverty is manufactured.
Who's come out of the mud, came up in Section 8 housing, came up with a father in prison, came up with a mother on crack cocaine, out of the mud. So you should know it's personal choice in this country.
So then
I dropped my hot pocket.
You know that that kind of prostitution exists in the U.S.
No. So the girl come down.
Of course he knows that type of prostitution exists in the U.S. He is part of that system. He is the crack dealing pimp.
Downstairs, she come out her apartment with her baby with no shoes on. I said, "Oh, girl, it's cold outside."
It's not going to personally affect me. It's going to be personally affecting a lot of people who I know who work hard. Like your insinuation that people.
I cannot. You know what puts him on my list? Puts this smiling fuck on my list right here. What puts him on my list is the fact that he will say that other people do not work hard when he does nothing. He does nothing except sit like a fende and eat grapes. All right. He might as well be an Israeli Jew. He is so entrenched in this cultural philosophy of sexual and labor exploitation. Right. Like, given time and preparation, I will shoot this man. I hope one of you guys beat me. Can we have a race? Can we have a race? Who could get to this motherfucker first? Right? Like, what can I give you? I got a sticker. I got a sticker. You know, it's you shouldn't even want to be paid at this point to take this dude out.
People don't work hard because they make minimum wages preposterous. Like the
Sam,
people who
we're not talking about if people work hard. We're talking about if minimum wage should be raised in America. That's the topic. Should we?
No, he obviously doesn't want to raise minimum wage because he'd have to pay these hoes more, and then he'd have slightly less money. But the realized situation ultimately would even out because he would only have to pay the hoes more for a little bit, and then all you dumb assholes with your new wages would go dating, and all these hoes would take your money again and give it to Marquette David again, just like happened with Corona. You gotta understand, the reason this man exists is because of the Corona thing. Okay, the government's intent was to give everyone money. That's why everyone got like $10,000 and have everyone go out and make families to fight population collapse. What actually happened is everybody went out. You all paid for these bitches. He was fucking them all on the side using Instagram. They all gave him your money, and now he runs shit. Okay, he's never earned anything in his life. He collapsed government money into his own coffers using women he was covertly pimpering as a conduit to take the wealth from your pocket. Is how he got to be who he is. That is why his ascendancy aligns perfectly with the post-corona wealth bloom. And Andrew Tate did the same thing, and so did T.J. Hooker. Okay, so like why, like, somebody who has gotten wealthy off covertly pimping women and stealing from dudes who thought they were building families, stealing money, mind you, that was not even created through labor, but gifted to the society through government largesse, lecturing other people on what hard work is? Are you fucking kidding me?
We raise
of course. If someone, okay, let's say someone who is working some sort of job where they're doing physical labor all day and they're working really hard. You're telling me that they don't deserve to have a better standard of living because after over the course of like 40, 50, 60 years, the wages have stagnated while productivity and the wealth in this country is increased.
Sam, they're not.
I'm sure I could spend watch the rest of this 28 videos and continue to eviscerate this man's positions. But seeing this lying, performed eunuch who become wealthy from the theft of government charity through the sexual exploitation of women, telling other people what labor is, literally makes my stomach churn. All right. Given the capability and the opportunity to shoot this man Marquette, I would shoot him. That's how I feel about the whole situation. Based on his performance here in this debate and the way his attitude is and what I really know his wealth is based in. If I was given the opportunity to end his life, I would not hesitate. Right. And I think that's all that needs to be said. I think that's all. I don't think I need to spend another 28 minutes pointing out the obvious fact that a lying pimp is a lying pimp. Do I really need to do that? No, I don't. I think you all are capable of figuring it out on your fucking own.